Hello, everyone. I'm Robin Grable, the founder of Talents Ascend and the Ascend Collective, and your host for Ascending Beyond Barriers. Welcome. Ascending Beyond Barriers is an inspiring podcast dedicated to showcasing the remarkable journeys of small business founders who have faced and overcome significant challenges on their path to success. Each episode delves into the personal stories of entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds, highlighting their unique experiences, struggles, and triumphs. Today, we're joined by an inspiring duo, Laura and Wilson Brinley, whose journey from military deployment to entrepreneurship is nothing short of remarkable. In 2021, while Wilson was deployed overseas, Laura found solace in baking. What started as a simple comfort quickly became a passion. That passion led them to create something more than just cookies. It became a way to bring families together. Their business, built on love, resilience, and purpose, now delivers the joy of homemade cookies through their signature cookie mixes. But their mission goes beyond baking. After Wilson, a firefighter, suffered a serious injury in the line of duty, they were committed to giving back. A portion of their profits supports injured firefighters, ensuring that no hero faces recovery alone. Welcome, Laura and Wilson. Wow, I'm just so honored to have you on today and talk about fire baked cookies, but your mission in general, and just great human beings. So I'm just honored. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for the kind words. We appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so we kind of got the story, the background, but tell us how this is really kind of a not only inspiring story for military spouses, but something that really happens and it doesn't get advertised a lot. Military spouses are so ingenious, so resilient, so resourceful, just so many things, right? Absolutely. And they don't get enough recognition for that. They don't get enough, honor for that. So I am just happy to be able to share your story. But so tell us, fire baked cookies, why were cookies? What was that? What was the inspiration for starting a cookie business?
Sure. So he, deployed very unexpectedly in 2021, and
okay.
I was left home with 3 kids. And
oh gosh,
yeah, and they were young. 2 of them were in school, but I still had one home with me. And deployment was really hard. It shook us to the core, and I just needed something other than life to worry about and to put my brain on.
Sure.
And I set out this silly goal to create the world's best chocolate chip cookie.
Yes.
And I just started baking. And the thing about baking is your mind has to be so focused to what you're measuring. And it's a science. And so you have to,
it is.
You can't think about 2 things at once while you're baking. So I took that as an opportunity to take my mind off the stress of deployment, and I baked hundreds of cookies trying to perfect this chocolate chip cookie. So
nice.
Some of them even made it halfway across the world too.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's something that, there's a lot of organizations out there. I know if you know Troopster, they put boxes of things together for deployed service members, but a lot of times it doesn't make it, or it's like unedible by the time they get there. So
we might have been eating expired Girl Scout cookies, but that's what we had until these showed up.
Awesome. Yeah. So obviously you're a firefighter, Wilson. Thank you so much for your service there, as well as your service in the military. I mean, just honorable. I mean, it's a profession that is so mostly thankless, as the military and military spouses are sometimes. But just thank you. So fire baked cookies, I get the connection. Is that really what inspired calling them fire baked cookies?
Yeah, just kind of a fun play on words, like you're using your own fire at home to bake these cookies, and just, our mission to give back to injured firefighters. So
nice. That is so great. So Wilson, just a question for you. I mean, I know that coming back from a deployment or having to go on a deployment, you're leaving your wife, your 3 kids, it's stressful. And that there's barriers to overcome when you come back. How did you integrate yourself into, now your wife is like, hey, I've got this great cookie recipe. We're going to build this company. And you're like, what? Tell us about your transition back.
Let's see. So I'll start with the leaving part of it. I got notified of deployment the day before her birthday,
Oh,
and didn't, want to ruin her birthday. So I had to hold that large news for a couple
yeah.
days, which was not fun. And
No.
it was definitely like is this really happening right now? Because
Right.
6 months prior to that notification, I just got back to full duty from my injury and
Oh,
recovery,
wow.
with both, the fire department and back on the Navy side of things. So it was like wow, that was instant, so that was a very shock to both of us and the family.
Yeah.
And then leaving was obviously not fun.
Hard.
Trying to prepare for who knows what,
Yeah.
mainly me being gone and her single parenting and running the whole house by herself. So
Yep.
try to get all those ducks in a row before I left to make everything as much help as I could be prior,
Sure.
make things easier for her while I was gone. Deployment was what it was,
It is what it is.
Yes.
It was a good experience on the military side of things, and it was ended up, I think, being a good experience for our marriage and family. She
Nice.
got to see how strong she really is, and I still don't think she had
Won't
any
give
idea
herself enough credit for. Yep.
how much how impressive, and it really was for my end, even though she lived it.
Yeah.
But it was it was ended up being, I think I'd like to say, an overall positive, long term experience. And then coming home and transitioning back from 10 months gone to back to reality and family life. The best way to say it was like came in like a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Her new normal while I was gone, and our family's new normal was
Yep.
now interrupted by me coming back and
Right.
trying to transition into dad and back in
Yep.
charge of household things and
Yeah.
back to normal work. So it was a hard transition for
Yep.
everyone,
Yep.
but I think back to the strength I mentioned while I was gone, she strengthened our marriage and family life, and we made it back to normal
Good.
after a bit.
Whatever normal is, right?
Yeah,
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think it's important for us to share stories like that, because there are people out there who are struggling in that transition back, or in that going on deployment and reintegrating themselves into their families. They feel like, well, you've survived without me for however much time, and now I got to come back in. What's my role? What's my place? And it can be difficult. So, but I guess the message is work through it, and recognize the strength of your partners and who's taking care of things while you're gone, because that is a gift. That is truly a gift that military spouses provide to our service members, so they can go off and do their deployments without worry that things are not being handled back home. So, and again, don't get enough recognition for that. So, I was a former military spouse while I was on active duty in the Navy. My husband at the time was active duty as well, and his career took precedent over mine, even though I was, active duty Navy. So I get it. It is definitely not an easy task. We had a young, daughter at the time, so it's hard. But okay, so firefighter, fire baked cookies, you give back to the firefighters. What's kind of the overall mission? Kind of tell us about your goals for the company and where you're taking it.
Sure. So we right now we have two mixes. We have a chocolate chip mix and a confetti mix. Our chocolate chip mix won Startup CBG Baking Mix of the Year last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, that was very exciting, very validating. Um, we this year, 2025, we're focusing on our e-commerce store, online sales, and we have partnered with a regional retailer. I don't know if I'm allowed to say their name.
We'll just wait on that.
Yeah.
More to
We
come.
yeah.
Yes.
Um, we have worked with Warrior Rising. They've been a great help in getting us off our feet here. I think what people don't understand is we have a background in service and we've taken on business, and it's you're walking into a vast unknown of things. You have no idea what you're doing. Um,
Right.
but we have Warrior Rising support, and yeah, so we're focusing on the e-commerce store and our retailer, which hopefully by the end of this year will be on some of those shelves.
Nice.
And also, I'm working on 2 mixes. I spent all day in the kitchen, 2 more mixes. I spent all day in the kitchen yesterday. Took like 3 dozen cookies to the fire station for them to try out.
Nice. Well, you have good testers, right? I mean, I'm sure they don't ever turn away any samples. That's awesome.
The
So, what,
containers are always empty.
right? Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, what do you think makes your cookies, other than the love of a military family that goes into them, what makes them different than the other chocolate chip cookies out there?
Sure. So my inspiration came from like a New York bakery style of cookie, which those
Okay.
cookies are thick, crispy, gooey, or whatever. And that was my original mission: is
Okay.
how do I duplicate that, and how do I get that into a mixed form so people can have this process at home? So we have a no spread formula. A lot of mixes out there are the
Wow.
thin
Right?
cookies, and with that you lose part of the process of the texture and the
Yeah.
experience of eating a cookie that is crispy on the outside and gooey on the inside. So
Yeah.
we just create a fun experience in your mouth.
Yeah,
Nice.
and through the development, we in some of our research for comparison, we realized that our mixes are actually extremely easy to do and fast. Start
Nice.
to finish in under 15 minutes or
Wow.
15 to 20 minutes. Um, and the signature is the way it's baked, which
Mm,
is
makes sense. Okay.
significantly less time than the current ones on the shelves. So,
Nice.
the focus was busy families.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. Everyone is extremely busy these days compared to
Yes.
many years ago. But to try to bring the baking experience and make it much more simple, quick, and easy for all the busy families, with small kids,
Yeah.
to be able to experience, that home baked, fresh cookie
Nice.
smell in the house.
Well,
Nice.
while really holding on to the taste, not
Hmm.
losing
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. And I mean, you get kids and that say, "Oh, hey, mom, I got to bring cookies to school tomorrow."
yes.
For
Yeah.
right? And they always do it at the last minute. They don't tell you ahead of time. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and
So it's a mix. So it's like, what do you like? What is in the mix?
so it's just the dry ingredients. You add
Okay.
an egg or two, depending on the mix, a stick of butter, mix it up, pop it in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting because
Yeah,
there's
there's
not too many.
absolutely it's so quick you don't even have to get a measuring cup out to do anything.
Wow.
Some of them are like measure out the vegetable oil or whatever. You don't need
Yeah.
that. Yeah, no, you just grab a stick of butter, an egg. The confetti is an extra egg yolk.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
That's interesting. So there's not a lot of cookie mixes out there. What made you decide to go down that excuse me, that path versus making the cookies and just selling them already baked?
So trial and error.
Well, um, there's an experience to of cookie pulled right out of the oven that you can't when
True.
you're just handed a cookie. There's
Yep.
the aroma that fills your home. And just the taste.
Love that.
I mean, a cookie right out of the oven.
So good.
You can't beat that with a pre-made cookie, and it's just
Right.
it's so much a part of the experience.
That is awesome. Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. Well, ingenious of you to think about it that way. I mean, and a lot of products or a lot of services, it is about the experience that you get with the whatever it is, and they
Yeah.
talk a lot about that in marketing. So, you're in the food industry. It's a tough industry to break into. What would you say has been your biggest challenge?
I think just our overall inexperience,
Okay.
and really being brave enough to ask the hard questions. And
Yeah.
truly, I mean, sometimes we had a co-packer and we're using a new co-packer recently, and he'll send an email and he'll say all these things, and I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about at all. I Google, or I have some friends where I'll be like, okay, what does this mean? And really, it's just breaking it down and teaching yourself. So
Yeah. Wow. And that, I mean, that's where a lot of entrepreneurs go through that, because you start with an idea, you have this mission or this passion for something, and you're like, okay, I can, having a business isn't that hard.
Well, let's go back to the strength thing that she
Yeah.
gained,
Yeah.
the strength knowledge, right, if you will, while I was gone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of grit and
Absolutely.
pushing yourself past the point of you never thought you'd get to. I heard recently the best a very good description is I can't remember where I heard it from, but it's swimming in the waters, and instead of turning back when it gets hard, you keep swimming to see what's on the other side.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a good analogy of entrepreneurship. When you get tired of swimming, you just keep pushing.
Yep.
Because you really want to see what's on the other side. And
Yeah. I love that.
I can't take credit for that. It's not original me, but it just resonated pretty well in this experience, because we kind of live our life as a failure isn't an option, kind of.
I think the word failure, though, I've read a lot about it, and being an entrepreneur and being a small business owner, I go through this daily too. It's like you're either learning or living. I mean, like you have to be. You're not. Failures aren't the end be it unless you stop trying, right?
Yeah.
So learning from those failures is what's important, because that tells you. I mean, what was it? Edison created 1,000 different ways to not create a light bulb. Right. So there's always learning in there, but good for you for keeping that going and that resilience.
And if you remove the word failure and replace it with experience or
yes, love that
learning,
yeah,
it can help reshape your mindset, and the negativity of the word failure
yes
is then not spread through your mentality, and the ability to keep going is a bit easier.
Yeah, your mindset. I mean, if once you integrate that negativity, it just takes over. It's so easy to do. It's so easy to have that dis-ease, as David Meltzer says, which I love thinking about it that way. Or what are you doing to interfere with your success is what he says a lot, which I love, because it is true. We can get in our own head and say, oh gosh, this is too hard, or, I can't do it. But, whether you can or you can't, you're always right. Right. So but I love that you talked about one of the things in that barrier is asking for help, asking questions, because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, as military spouses, as veterans, we don't ask for help. We think, oh, we're going to have to figure it out on our own. So I know there's a lot of other people out there that listen that are probably struggling with the same thing, but asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually courageous. It's very courageous to ask someone for help, and find someone who's done what you're wanting to do and ask them how they got there. Find that roadmap to do that. So good for you. So can you tell us what the other two are? You said you're working on 2 new flavors. Can you tell us what they are?
Yeah, I don't mind sharing. Snickerdoodle and oatmeal.
Oh, yummy. All right.
Yes,
Excellent. Oh,
pretty amazing.
so if they're not in stores yet, where can people get the product right now?
Firebakedcookies.com online.
Excellent.
Yep.
Perfect. Wonderful. So we've talked about some of your challenges. What have been, you've won some awards for the cookies. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
What would you say as an entrepreneur has been some of the most rewarding aspects of having your own company?
My first thing that pops into my head is just having our kids watch the process, and you
Yeah.
know, they don't even know it, but they create the biggest pressure on us because I want them to see us doing something really hard and pushing
Yeah.
through it in a healthy way, you know. And so, yeah, it's fun bringing them along on the experience, and they ask
Absolutely.
questions and they have ideas, and
Nice.
so
That's
that's
great. How old are your kids?
they are currently 7, 9, and 11.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So they were little in
Yes.
2021
Mhm.
when this kind of all started. So
Hmm.
no, that's great. And I think it's important. I have 5 grand cherubs. And so and my daughter's very grown, but she also sees me working hard, and now she's working hard. Our 5 grand cherubs see us, having this business, and they ask questions about it. And now, they can dream, they can think of all the things they want to be and all the things that are possible for them when they see it, but also share some of the struggles, because they need to know that it's not easy. Because I
Mhm.
think that's some of the generational issues today, is that some of the generations think things just come easy to them,
Mhm.
or should come easy to them, and they don't. There's a lot of hard work behind every success. There's a lot of hard work. And I think social media too, you always hear about all the, hey, I got this award, but you don't see the entire iceberg of things that took to get that award, to get that recognition, to get that, cookie on the shelves of a, major retailer. So it's hard work. But well, congratulations. As we wrap up here, just really thank you so much for all you do, and just any way we can help in your mission, let us know. But as we close out, just kind of tell us what your best advice for military spouses, veterans, service members going on deployment, families, entrepreneurs. What would your best advice be?
Let's see.
Tough question, right?
Prepare for the worst, or prepare for the worst, and you know,
Hope for the
No.
best.
hope for the best. Yeah.
There you go. That's great. Yeah, I love that. How about you, Laura?
um, I think just try to be okay, get help with being okay with the chaos of it. You know, the chaos of deployment, the chaos of running a business, just being okay with that.
Thrive in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Look for the positives. Yeah, absolutely. Because they're there. They're definitely there. But like Wilson said, I mean, the swimming, and you get tired and you think, oh my gosh, I got to swim back to the shore. You don't even know where the end game might be. You might be closer than you think. I think a lot of times I've heard something too, and I don't remember where I got it either, Wilson. So, and I certainly didn't make it up, but sometimes I think the failure stops the day before, or right before you get success. People stop and they think, oh, I'm going to give up. But they just held on a little bit longer. That success is there. So, yeah, be positive. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories and being on today. We wish you all the best with fire baked cookies. Wow. I got so excited I couldn't even say the words. But thanks again. And again, any way we can help you, let us know.
Well, thank you again for the support, and thank you for you and your family's service as well. So.
Thank you, Robin.